haven't seen last night's class, you have to see it. This was like,
She's in the back.
it's very nice that after 50 years of teaching, he gave like an introduction to Jewish psychology. But something that is really straightforward, no
We don't know.
no gimmicks, nothing like complex, but so
Elegant?
it's elegant. It was beautiful, elegant as usual. But he finally talks about the most important thing, which is defense mechanisms, and which is the main thing that you have to overcome when you're working with somebody. So he really, I mean, I expect that he'll say more about this at some point, but really watch this class. It was something out of this world. It was a little hard to follow because he started with 3 weeks and then he asked all the questions 3 weeks, but then he got to the defense mechanism and it was very powerful. And okay, so we're in chapter 3 here.
He was competing. There was something else. Last week?
What page? I don't know. Whatever we passed out last week.
Oh, I see. We're just continuing the pages you gave out last.
Yeah, except now we're going to, this was a whole new topic, so we went through it very quickly.
We finished the pages.
Yeah, we read all of it, and well, most of it. We didn't read all of it, but we read most of it. So now what we're going to do is to go a little bit more deeply into it because we didn't really have time last week. We just introduced everything, and it wasn't very ordered. I mean, if you followed last week, so I sort of let all the types of faith sort of coalesce, and it wasn't a clear distinction between them.
Do you have
Okay.
extra handouts if someone needs?
No. Some photocopy.
This, or is this from last week?
Last week.
You didn't get it, or you just don't have it?
No, I have the last four
Okay,
lines.
let me see if I can.
That's it, but we're going to start from the beginning.
One
Okay.
second.
From the beginning.
I'll find one.
Chapter.
He told how good the lecture was last week.
Yeah, amazing. I just wanted to.
Oh, I thought you had. Is this what I think it is?
What it?
Oh no, I thought you had
No,
the
it's my
stencils.
mom's yard
Oh.
site today, so I brought some pictures
Oh.
of my family.
So we'll do it after.
Yeah.
You probably showed everybody. I'm going.
No,
Okay.
but please have some
Okay, so let's recap what we did.
Beulah Batzar.
Beulah.
Beulah Batzar.
Beulah Batzar. Shel Elul, Aliyat Neshama. It is well. So let's start from the beginning again. It is well known from Hasidic teachings that the verse "and a tzaddik will live by his faith" alludes to 2 types of faith. Okay, and what were these 2 types of faith? We said faith in a Jew and faith in Hashem. Those were the 2 types of faith that the Baal Shem Tov taught. And we saw last week all the different allusions here. We've talked about 2 types of faith. Right? Before this, we saw 2 types of faith. What were the 2 types of faith? We said there's the faith that there's only Hashem and everything is therefore good. And we said that that type of faith is lower because if Hashem would have created the world with that type of faith, then there would be no direction. Everything would be fine as it is, and we wouldn't be directed and focused on achieving some kind of goal. Because that faith makes everything equal. It's equivocal. So he said there has to be a higher type of faith. What's the higher type of faith? That Hashem does want something. That there is a certain direction in the world. And that type of faith, it appears in the purpose of the Jewish people, which is to bring Hashem's presence into the world. We said that we saw that by Abraham. That when Abraham, when he began, he came to the highest level of faith. He was still called Avram, without the hay. And the highest level of faith there was that he said, Hen li lo, that everything is equal to me. The equivocal faith, that it's all good. Whether you give me a son or you don't give me a son, it's all good. And we said that that purged out of him all different false beliefs that he had with him. As a result of that, Hashem gave him the higher faith. And to give him the higher faith, he had to open up his concealed mind. If you remember, we've talked about this many times, what we call the Mochasti Ma'a, the concealed wisdom. And he allowed him to access it. And to access concealed wisdom means that you have an infinite source, an infinite wellspring of abilities that can still come down. They're beyond what you know because they come from outside reality. So if a person is born with a certain skill set, with certain abilities, the height of those abilities is to get to simple faith, which just says that it's all good. Whatever there is fine. But when you are able to admit that everything is good, that first level of faith, then you come to the higher level of faith, which is the ability to bring down a new reality altogether. And this new reality is what Hashem wants. This is the purpose of creation. You know, the first level of faith is just to say it's all good. However it is right now, it's fine. And we said that you need to do a few times a day just in order to get through the day. But you also have to attain the second level of faith, which was what Avraham received when he received the hay. And then he was able to begin to fulfill his purpose in life. And even though his nature was such that he wasn't able to give birth, once he attained this higher level of faith, his nature changed. Because Hashem brings down what is needed in order to fulfill your purpose.
He did that for Sarah too.
Okay, they went together.
Were you calling it Emunah and Bitachon, or
No, there are
other
two
names?
levels of emunah. And we said that they correspond to the Chaya Yechidah, to the two Makifim.
Bitachon will be something.
Bitachon is bringing down a line into reality once you attain this higher level of emunah. Okay? The emunah only builds the makif. It only builds the surrounding light. It's like the big circle around you. It's like that until you don't have the higher form of emunah, even your circle or the surrounding light is not yet the really infinite surrounding light that is atzmus, that is really outside of everything and can recreate the world into an entirely new reality. Something that we haven't seen. Bitachon is bringing down a line into reality, a ray of light, taking from this infinite light and bringing it into vessels, and bringing it into reality and using it in order to fulfill my purpose. Right. And Bitachon is not above it, it's related more to the second emunah, and then it brings down a ray of light into reality.
So is this bringing down from God, is this considered a miracle?
Okay? That's God's essence as a word. The higher level of emunah is like God's essence.
Sorry, is it just semantics, like the words Emunah and Bitachon? Because can they be used relatively differently? Like in a different context, I could say.
No,
Emunah,
Bitachon is to fill reality. Is to go into reality. Here we're going outside of reality. The higher emunah is so outside of reality that anything can happen afterwards. So these are the two makifim. These are the lamed and mem in the word sedem. We said those are the two types of faith that exist in these two surrounding parts of the neshama, and you have to build them. Meaning you build them by realizing this faith. When you come in contact with this type of faith. And the Baal Shem Tov translated them into faith in Hashem and faith in a Jew. And which one is the higher one? Faith in the Jew. The faith in Hashem is how Hashem recreates the world at every moment, but it's not a new reality. It's not something outside the world. It's still, as it were, continuing what you already have. But it's all good.
Like nature?
It's sort of like a natural continuity, yeah. But from moment to moment, even though the table continues to be here from moment to moment, it has to be recreated. That's the first level of faith. And by there's no actual change. Avram coming to this level, he wasn't able to give birth yet. He was still Avram. He was still unable to tap into his higher faculties. So he's still limited. But he's without all the stress and pain and difficulty that you carry around because of what you think about the world. You clear your mind from all these thoughts.
He removed his anxiety.
Right. He removed it completely.
That's what we were talking about the first class. Anxiety.
But the second level of faith is a gift.
So
The second level of faith, so you could say it's a gift, but how do you do it?
Is the first level of faith.
no, so how do you do it? You have faith in a Jew.
Okay. Then you can receive.
That's how you receive it. That's what opens it up. So that's like the exercise that I do in order to open it up in myself also.
what is that
What does it
exercise?
open up?
My higher faith, which is my second makif, my yechida. Not just my chaya, but my yechida. So again, the first level of faith, it corresponds to the first makif, which is called the chaya. Chaya comes from the word to live, meaning it gives the world as it is. And it's just the pulse of the world. You see the world coming into being at every moment, but it's not a different world at every moment. It's just a new feeling, it's a freshness that this is new, I can handle it. Because it's like the first time I'm encountering it. I'm clean of all the energy and stress and anxieties that have built up during the last, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. And now I see the world coming into being anew, so it's still the same world, but it's new.
Why is it called faith in another Jew? How does the other Jew fit in?
We'll see in a moment.
That's what I really need to know. That.
Okay, we didn't talk about this last week. We
What-
began to talk about it.
You're saying it opens up Yeshida?
And the faith in another Jew, says the Baal Shem Tov, that opens up your Yechida.
And Yeshida is the
Yechida is the higher.
highest?
It's the
Higher
highest
than Chaya?
part of the. It's the spark of Mashiach in you, and it's able to actually change reality. And it's outside of reality. It's a point that's outside, so it can lift all of reality.
And it's because Avram believed in other Jews that he received.
Yes, he was pretty good at it, wasn't he?
So that's why you asked if it's a gift, because it seems that Avram just received
That,
it.
in that conversation.
So
with
what did
God,
Avram do? What did Avram do that warranted him receiving this higher aspect?
Told people.
Opening his home for others.
No, so we have to say that that's what it says. Vayamin b'Hashem v'yachshaveh lo tzedakah. That Hashem considered it a charity that Avram still believed in him, meaning that he still believed somehow that there would be
Right.
an attempt, a chance to fulfill everything that Hashem wants from him. And that it's not because everything is equivocal, everything is equal, that because of that now we're fine. No, nothing's I'm not gonna have Yitzchak and that's it. I fulfilled my purpose. He still believed that even after he went to that level, there would be another level at which that would happen. It would still happen, his whole purpose in life.
Rabbi, isn't the lower level still also Makif?
No,
Outside?
two makifim. Ken, they're both makif. They're both surrounding light.
Okay.
Okay.
But the higher level is even more outside?
Ken, so the usual answer is that once you go outside the second makif, it's also around. The first makif is just a sense that everything is equal. It's just a circle. And we've talked a lot about the sun and the circle being symbols for everything being equal, because it's no up and down, everything's the same distance from the center, and so on, so many things. And you can just keep going around and around forever, and there's no end to it. So it's limitless and it's equal. What?
I just to clarify something else. So when
Good, good. Chaya, that's
I
chaya.
always thought it was that there's, I mean, the whole excitement in the Ramona is that there could be something new.
Okay, so that's the higher. That's the higher. So first you have to have the first one. The first one just says it's all good.
You know, like gradually.
When people say I believe in Hashem, they mean the first one. I hope. I think. I think most people say like if you have faith, your life is easier. That faith is actually the one that's called Tchias HaMesim. We talked about this. That when you come back from everything being, good, it's like a feeling of rejuvenation. But it's not the Tchias HaMesim that we're talking about, because it's just you as you are now. And it's not that you're recreated in a body that's eternal. It's not a change in reality. It's just a feeling that reality is new. So that's the type of Tchias HaMesim that you feel from this.
But still, in the realm of the Muna, there is the possibility that something will actually be different because of the higher level.
Because of the higher. So now getting back to so the Sovev, the surrounding light, the first one, the Chaya, is just like a circle. It's a Sovev. Everything's equal, everything's the same, and it's all good. So what's outside of it? So you say outside of it is the Atzmus. What shape does it have? It's still surrounding. It's surrounding the circle, as it were. Okay. The second makif is by us it's a makif. Really, it permeates everything. It's everywhere. It's not really the shape of a circle. Just the first chaya is the shape of the circle. But from our point of view, to reach the atzmus, you have to sort of go beyond the first type of faith. So we feel it like it's another makif. It's another something. And we'll see in a moment, because of your question. So, what does a Jew have anything to do? Why is it faith in a Jew? What's special about a Jew? Then why not faith? Again, the first one is like faith in Hashem as a creator. Mm-hmm. And that's the first one. And we said that really Hashem as creator would start with an aleph, but Hashem couldn't start with an aleph, because if that would have been the first letter, then everything would have just been equal. Nobody would ever feel that they're going anywhere. There would be no line in reality, no direction, and all things would just be the same. So he had to start as a creator, he had to start the Torah with a bet. So that the bet would give some inkling of direction. Because we said the bet is already bitachon, that even within this, all things are equal, people still feel that I have something that I need to do. I have some focus in my life. That's not yet the true that's not yet my true purpose. It's just that every person feels that, why don't people just give up when they're 20? Say if you're not a Jew. What do you feel when you're 20? Let's say that they would promise you that you would get all the food you need. You'd get food and shelter for free. What would happen to people? There'd be no motivation, nothing. So that's like keeping the world. The way it's created now is it's still bringing in some kind of line, some kind of bit, bereshit bara, so that people still have some motivation. So what's the bet? So we said the bet is that something's missing, because it's only there's one side of it is open, so people feel that, and they try to fulfill that. So that gives them the motivation, that gives them the direction. But it's a simple type of direction. It's equal to everybody, by everybody. It's just it's just the feeling that you need to fulfill your needs. That's all it is, because something's lacking. Or maybe you're in competition with yourself. You're in competition with somebody else. But these, in the end, they're simple feelings. The real purpose you get is from the higher emunah, where the world is not constant. It could be anything. So when a Jew, he looks for his focus, his mission in life, by nature it would be something that would change the world, turn it upside down. Because he's really taking from there. He's not just.
You can have that feeling in the first level too. And it could
It's
be
not
good,
really
but-
changing the world.
Well,
Then it's not.
It's called En Chadash Tachat HaShemesh.
but
The
you can
Shemesh
have
here
a
is the
vision
first.
that is supposed to change the
already
world,
in the
but you're,
second
Wait,
but you're
there
not.
Yeah, but you're still
not
saying the
much
So I'm
same.
saying, what's
You
the,
think it is,
what's
but
the
it's not.
character of the motivation that you know, you're really in that place.
Okay, so now we'll
That
get to
it's not
the
desperate.
right. So now let's get to the faith in
And
the
what
Jew.
about all the times you say, just be simple, you don't have to turn the world upside down.
So
just do your
that's the
thing.
first level of faith.
Oh, so the second, you mean there's people who really reach this high level, but those are the ones who really change the world, and there's not that many.
Every Jew is like that. Every Jew
They have
is
potential.
has angst because the world is not the way they want it to be. To bring the redemption, you have to feel that this world is just simply not enough. To be the highest level, let's say that Elon Musk is the guy who most wants to change the world. What does he want to do? Preserve it. That's it. Doesn't really want to change. He just wants
What's
to
his name?
preserve. Elon Musk, this guy did Tesla now, he has SpaceX and all these
Well,
things.
wait, just tell me his last name.
Musk.
M-U-S.
Okay.
What does he do?
He's a million projects. Every day he has a new one. But in the end, all he wants to do is preserve.
And that's very high.
And that's the first level of
I think
Emunah.
that's pretty high.
Now, how does he get up every day? How does he have energy? Because he keeps saying it's all good. Doesn't matter. If it didn't work out yesterday, it'll work out today.
Wait, but does, are
He
his...
feels rejuvenated every time he goes to
But
sleep.
if his projects are all environmental, he is doing something.
But again, it's just to preserve the world the way it is. To make it into a new reality. What does a new reality really mean? It means that I'll see the godliness in this table.
That's what they mean.
That's something that's not connected. There's no technology in the world that can do that. I can't. No X-ray in the world. No CAT scan. It won't help. There's no electron microscope that can dig deep enough because it's not deep. It's just a different take on reality. It's a completely different reality. So that's what I'm really looking for.
But
Yeah,
in a way
but
it's simple,
really,
like-
it's just understanding what you're seeing. It's not really to uncover something that's somehow you don't need technology. You just need a different.
Well, we're catching it with the Chitzoni, that's right.
Okay, to be beyond chitzoni, to be a pnimi. So that's already a change in the world. It changes the way the world functions. Meaning, when you understand that this is godliness, then a tree can be a person.
How do you get non-Jews to buy into this?
You can't. That's very important.
Yeah, it is.
One of the main things that Jews don't get is that when we say redemption, we mean one thing, they mean something else. They mean to return to nature.
Non-Jews.
Non-Jews. They mean that the order of the world should return to the way it was in the Garden of Eden. That's the most that they can imagine. They're always under the sun, it's called. They're always limited because they don't know about the second level of faith. So, we said the people that are most advanced in this are in the East. So they know how to completely purge themselves from all nonsense and all attachment, they call it. Because really you shouldn't be attached. Because in the first level of faith, why should you be attached to something? It didn't work, it's also good. You don't have to try today, try tomorrow. That's why they don't have children, because children require to be attached day after day. So they don't have, Buddhists don't have children. It's a main
Buddhists
thing.
don't have children.
Not the little, not the laymen, the monks
The monks, of course, right.
and the nuns, whatever they're like. They don't have children. They don't marry.
They don't have that dimension in Solar
Okay, right. So that's what we're saying. That's what's missing. When a person converts, what they receive is the Yechida. So when we say redemption, maybe we don't all mean it, or don't know that we mean it, but we mean something completely different outside the confines of reality. It's a different reality that I'm waiting for.
We've
It's-
never experienced it. So
But
how
we
can
know
we,
it.
like,
We
can
have
we
it.
tap into it?
So that's what the Rebbe that's what the Rebbe means by Kerav El Time. It means turn the world upside down. It's a completely different world. And that's really my life's mission. That if you think about it, even just to have children, not because I want to preserve myself, and that's in the Epistle 11 in the Tanya, he says that Jews should not love their children because of natural love. The natural love for a child, it's not that it's wrong, but it's not enough. The natural love is simply to preserve myself. I preserve myself through my offspring. That's where the natural love comes from. And in the same way that a person loves himself, he loves his children. He says, no, that's the lower level of love for children. The higher level of love is to feel that the child is an example of nothingness becoming somethingness. Nothingness coming into being. That Hashem, I gave an opportunity for something that is unfathomable, Hashem, to come into reality. That's why I love him, because he's a revelation of Hashem, of the infinite.
So we encourage rebellion.
If they want to rebel.
It's like then we can
I don't want rebellion is needed when the father himself or the parents themselves are not committed to something higher. But if I'm committed to something higher, to always getting to my higher level of emunah, and I have to recreate myself anew every day, I have to think about, so I have to be something new today. I can't just keep copying what I was in the past. I'm not preserving myself. I have to reinvent myself every day. So the child also feels that that's what life is about. Doesn't need to rebel, because that's what we want from you. I want from you the same thing I want from me, which is that I don't know what you'll be tomorrow. In the same way that I don't know what I'll be tomorrow.
Animals are something from nothing.
No, they're something for something. The
Except
big
Echo.
difference.
Echo is an
No,
exception.
The big difference is, actually we talked about this this morning, yeah, in the class this morning, is that Rav Isaac explained this in length, that animals have no free will.
Oh, right.
So because of that, they don't really change. What they're just preserving what Plato would call the idea. So all the horses are a preservation of the idea of a horse. Different variations on the same theme, but they're pretty much just preserving it. Whereas a human being, especially a Jew, is supposed to be a chiddush, a complete new chiddush. And again, that's a statement from Koheles, from Ecclesiastes, that he says, Ein chadash tachat hashemesh. That if you only have this first makif, which is like the sun, which is this chaya, then at most you can continue to feel new, refreshed, but there's nothing new about it. And it's just a feeling of being refreshed. It's just feeling the pulse of reality that Hashem is continually bringing it into being. So you can always reset. You can always purge all the negativity. You can always get rid of what you're carrying around with you. But you can't really reinvent yourself or the world around you or any of these things. There's no real chiddush. There's no real geula. You know, the geula when a goy says geula, he means going back to the natural state. We say the natural state was just a beginning. We've taken a detour from Gan Eden through everything we've done 6,000 years in order to learn how to get out of Gan Eden ourselves. Meaning, Hashem
Wait,
took
get out of Gan Eden.
how to go beyond Gan Eden ourselves. How to choose ourselves to go beyond. That's what Eitz HaChaim was supposed to do.
And expect to work or not? Because if we chose it ourselves, we would have been okay, and everything would have been okay.
Okay. So what is in the Jew? What is this thing that he calls faith in the Jew? So he says, sorry? So,
I was going to say, it's the best revelation of Hashem.
okay, so what is it about a Jew that makes him the greatest revelation of Hashem?
He's a piece of Hashem.
So what is it about him?
So there words. and
So we've almost said it. We'll say no that a Jew has Mesiras Nefesh,
And that translates exactly this.
self-sacrifice. What is the level of self-sacrifice? That I can see the world without me.
Huh.
I can see the world without me.
Uh-huh.
I don't need to preserve myself. It's the opposite of the feeling of the first one. The first one's like, it's just preservation in the end.
Is that
It's
from
re-
the Yechidah?
And that's from the Yechida. The Yechida is a sense of self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
So you don't have to actually, die in the middle of your duty. Although for the Baal Shem Tov, that's exactly what it was, because he said it at some point that I could have not died, but I want to. I have self-sacrifice, and the verse it says, "You're dust, and you shall return to dust." So I want to perform this verse also.
Most things refer to self-sacrifice to just for God, but if you can see yourself, you can do it. Do you have to do it for God, or you can just not see yourself in the world? Because if you see the world without yourself, if you're selfless, if you don't need that,
Okay.
does that mean you're self-sacrificing just to God or some just?
So usually the understanding is it's self-sacrifice for my fellow Jews. It's not even for Hashem. It's two different levels of it.
Or for,
But first of all, for other people. So the Alter Rebbe
that's
says,
higher than Hashem?
no, it's not necessarily higher. They're almost the same thing. The idea being, says the Alter Rebbe, that a Jew can feel that if the real redemption depends on him disappearing, so he's willing to disappear.
Yeah, this is faith in a Jew.
And to have faith in a Jew is because he has that quality in him.
What
Is it
quality?
in a particular Jew or in every Jew?
Every
So we'll see in a moment. It's in every Jew in general, but first of all, you have to start with the particular
faith is in
Jews.
every Jew.
Okay,
Faith itself
but
is in
it
every-
is in every individual Jew,
But to have faith in every individual
Okay.
Jew.
and it's also faith in everybody together.
Right.
Because what the Jewish people represent is exactly that aspect of Hashem that says, I can sacrifice myself to make a new world. So think about this for a second. Let's say Hashem was, God forbid, he was like Zeus. So why doesn't Zeus destroy the mortals? Because who's going to worship him? If you won't worship me, so I need somebody to worship me. I enjoy it. It gives me all my. That's what I created you for. So Hashem doesn't see it that way. He says, even if you don't worship me, it's fine. To create a new reality, is like to say that they'll have to learn anew who I am. Every real change in reality changes our conception of what Hashem is. So if reality was just everything repeating, like the sun, so you learn how to worship Him in the morning, and you learn how to worship Him in the night, and it's finished. Says Hashem, no, I want you to every day throw out how you worshipped me yesterday. I want you to discover me anew every day, because I'm something else. So he's like sacrificing his own needs. He's throwing himself out because he's not going to get what he got yesterday.
Two questions. First of all, isn't there a Mesiras Nefesh that comes from the Chaya level as well? Like there's two levels of Mesiras Nefesh. One is
Yeah.
as far as I understand. Like I think in the Chaya it's Iskafia, and in Yechida it's Isaf.
It's like Kabbalah Soul. It's more like
So
Kabbalah
there
Soul.
is, but I'm saying someone could have Mesiras
Yeah,
Nefesh.
it's Kabbalah
still
Soul,
in
but
their
it's not.
Chaya.
Yeah, but it's a different type. It's not to give up everything that I've had.
Okay,
It's more to say that I'm willing to give up.
surrender myself.
Again, in order to, like, I'm sure that a very successful person like Elon Musk, he has to have a lot of iskafia every day. So, but we don't call it mamish mesiras nefesh. Kabbalah Soul. But to preserve, you need Kabbalah Soul.
Right.
Yeah.
I also don't fully understand the first level of where Avram said Henli Lo,
Mhm.
he was completely giving up himself. But now you're saying that's only happening in the second level. In the
Okay.
first level, he's doing that.
No, he's still
He wasn't
still
trying to say I need to
Avram.
be here. He said I
He's
don't.
still,
Doesn't matter.
he's still here, and he's okay. He hasn't gone outside. Hashem hasn't
Right.
taken him above the
Right.
clouds yet.
But he's saying Henli Lo, do whatever you want. If I have no,
Okay, that's
no
the feeling
progeny,
of
no
it's
problem.
all good.
Right, but
That's
he's,
the first level.
he's giving up his very future by saying that. He gave himself up.
He's not giving up his very future. Because
Yeah, he's not
he's
having
saying
kids.
it's all good.
What about the Akeda?
There's no kids then.
What?
What about the
At
Akeda?
the Akeda, you have to say that he went there. He was giving up his future. He doesn't have a future yet.
Right, but
He's just
giving
saying
up
it's
the hope
fine.
there.
It's fine the way it is. Again, it's the feeling that it's all fine. It's all
You're
good.
kidding. Isaac just was first faith?
No.
did go.
To receive Isaac, he had to get to the second phase. That's what we said before. But what we see that he already learned how to have the second faith at the Akeda, because here he is willing to.
Oh.
Because Hashem told him, we have a different plan. Said, oh, okay.
You
Different plan.
describe the second faith as this idea of I don't need to be here, and the second faith you're so actively here.
Because most of it is in order to be here. And it's that from the second, not paradoxical next time. It's from the fact that I'm willing to have a new plan every day is why I'm so present in the world.
It's a result.
Willing to have a new plan is still me in the picture. I'm not saying willing to.
Etc.
take
And the
me
new
out
plan
of
might be without me.
You're gonna wipe out.
But right now I am here, so the new plan of course includes me. But even when I'm finished, it's a new plan. The day that I don't wake up is a new plan, but it's without me. Without me in the sense of in a body.
But the Akeda was not Mesilut Nefesh, level of Mesilut
Okay,
Nefesh.
okay, that's the Mesilut Nefesh. So that means that he was able. We said that maybe the first time, like Sarah said, the first time it was maybe like a gift. That Hashem gave it to him because he had reached the first level, where nobody had reached before to his extent of giving up everything in order to say it's all good. It's all good. All my plans that I had, everything I'm giving up. So Hashem took him to the higher level. It says he took him out. And Rashi explains what do you mean he took him out? He took him out of the atmosphere. He
Does
took
he
him
always
above
have
the
to
sun.
do that, or do we do it ourselves?
What? So we're supposed to
Offer
do this ourselves. And it says at the Baal Shem Tov, how do you do this? You do this by having faith in somebody else having that ability. Faith in another Jew. That's the big chiddush.
To have
That it awakens it in you when you believe in it in somebody else.
I feel like it's
First of all, are you ready for that?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm like, who's gonna volunteer?
What do you mean?
Exactly. How do you do it
It's
with
like
somebody?
very scary.
So with
Okay.
children, it's definitely the
You
main
give up
feeling.
anything. You don't have kids.
I haven't had it. I'm waiting.
But with anybody that is under you in some way, it's the ability to believe in them. That certainly they, or even, let's say there's somebody who's acting. Here's probably one of the most difficult places to have this faith. There's somebody who's the police or the public prosecutor, whatever, and you have to believe in him that even though he's stuck in this system, that he's able to break out of it and to see something and do something the right way. Yeah, you have to have faith in him.
Is there any way, because that's a difficult thing, is there any way of combining both those two faiths together where you can say, okay, I have really the higher faith of Hashem, I believe in Hashem's, I have faith in Hashem to be able to reveal to that person, to reveal his inner faith.
Sure.
Because that's not hard, but you're saying it's difficult when you've seen your children, they limit it or whatever it is. And sort of, is there a way of combining both the higher faith and the lower faith? And the person, because it's very difficult to just say, oh, I believe in that person has this ability to access that faith.
So again, the lower faith is not Hashem as infinite. It's Hashem as continuing reality. The higher faith is the real Hashem.
And then that can't be brought together.
In the higher faith, it's also faith in Hashem. But it's faith in Hashem that He can change reality.
Because it seems to jump to that.
Again, in the first level, it's just that He continues reality.
Yeah.
In the second one, it's that He can change it from end to end.
Yeah, and you can only really access the second one through the first one.
Okay,
The
right.
one through the second one includes the first one.
You need to go through the second one. Maybe you can go straight to the to the higher, to the Yechida directly. Stamin, it seems that you need to have the first one before.
Sorry, can I just cut?
Yeah.
So it's not like that we have to have faith in someone that's lower than us, but if we have faith in each other, that every Jew, we have faith that a Jew is someone who can change the world.
Sure.
That's
And
what
change
we-
himself
that-
completely.
So that's what.
And change himself also. That's how the Rebbe looked at people. He looked at them with an eye that says, I see that you can be something completely different than what you are now. And he gives you that faith. He convinces you that you have that. You have that
It's
ability.
removing all those stigmas we have, those boxes we put on
Okay.
ourselves, on
Okay.
people.
The simple faith would be, the first level of faith would just be, you're fine the way you are.
Which is higher.
That's like the Chaya. And I see that you're godly anyway, and Hashem loves you as you are, and so on and so forth. But if you leave the world that way, it doesn't go anywhere. So it's all good. You should have that at least. Okay.
Why does it have to just be Jews?
What?
Signs
So
up
this
for
is
it.
like, when you're talking about therapy, they said that fourth level is that we, as the therapists, are supposed to have
Good.
faith in
Right.
the person and
Right.
be able to see a vision of possibilities for them,
Right.
see the future, that it's going to be good,
Right.
and
And that they can reach that. They can recreate themselves.
and I find that very possible and doable.
Good.
But then when it translates to my children,
It's harder.
it's yeah.
Because you're more stuck into the day to day. You see the day to day.
You have to be able to see past that.
Why is it harder?
And also because we want to preserve
Because
ourselves.
you see them every
We
day.
want there to be the hardest thing for us, if I don't tap into this as a parent, if I don't tap into the higher level of faith, into the Yechida, so I don't transfer to them the feeling that they can do anything. If I don't feel that, I can't give it to them.
You mean
So-
if I don't feel that about myself?
Ken, if I feel that I'm stuck,
Okay.
so I also feel that about them.
So it's both. It's a dual. It's like back and forth.
You have to have both.
Yeah.
You have to have the first one just to be a nice person.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the first one, you're always anxious, you're always upset, you're always not content. Even with yourself, especially with yourself. So that's just basic survival skills, the first one. It's all good.
It's not healthy to panic.
Don't panic. Don't get anxious. And if you do, so purge it all from your head just by understanding that Hashem is everything and Hashem is good. But that's it. And then you can practice a little bit of similar to Eastern meditation for 5 minutes. Feel that everything's good, and then come back into the world. But if you leave it that way, so you're just a nice person, you're not going anywhere. So you have to augment that with a higher level of faith. And the higher level of faith says, and in spite of the fact that it's all good, we can recreate it as something better.
Better, Dafka?
Can, obviously.
Like we're not going to recreate it to.
It's like saying,
similar.
it's like what the Rebbe used to say, if good is good, then better is better.
Why did you define it?
So the good is just the chaya, and the better is already the yechida.
Why did you define it as I don't need to be here? I don't really get that.
Because better means that what I was before won't be here tomorrow.
Does this mean I need to die? Does it mean I need to...
Again, I know you don't
No,
can.
I
was also
when we
worried.
say Mr. Nefesh, we think of, the Moranos at the stake. I don't know, Mr. Nefesh, people who
So
went to the
they're
gas
not
station.
here. They're more here than I am.
Right, but I'm saying, I'm explain it to me on a day-to-day basis. What does it mean? I miss you.
That
Nefesh.
tomorrow, what
believing-
I'm
I
going
look at
to-
her and I believe what? That she doesn't need to be here?
No,
That
that
she
my
needs to- she
relationship
has
with
to
her
believe that.
can be completely different.
I can recalling that Mr. Nefesh.
Can, because I'm giving up how I am now.
That our
I'm
relationship-
giving up how my relationships are now.
that
And I'm
she-
saying they can be 1,000,000 times better.
So when you
But
say
for
I
them
don't
to
need-
be better, I have to give up a lot of my
When you say the world,
attachments and-
but when you said the world could continue going and I don't need to be here, where's that falling?
No, it can reach a new level, but if the prices that
I'm with
part of that new level requires me not to be here in the physical sense, I'm willing to even pay that.
Because your focus is on the new created
Okay.
reality.
And in any case, I won't be the same person that I was.
So you won't be
That's
here.
required, apart from that,
Sorry, sir.
apart from that belief, okay, in that person, Sarah is going to be, does it require any action as well on my part that I set things up and I go and
So this is not action yet. This is just in the realm of faith.
This is in the
Okay, it's just how a person sees things. Okay.
And is there like a transference, like are you saying like, if one does that, he actually transcends himself and becomes a different person?
Right.
Also, there's a transference, like he looks at somebody with
Mhm.
those kinds of eyes and like that
Mhm.
opens up to
Exactly.
a very
Exactly.
different person.
Exactly. It's not clear which one you need to do first. Do you first look at your child and see it, or do you first do it about yourself? But it doesn't matter. They're the same. What?
Sounds like together.
So maybe they happen the same at the same time.
You once said that in a mission, whatever your mission is, it doesn't have to be you as being the one who completes
Right.
it.
Right.
So is that like kind of what you're talking
Okay,
about?
okay.
It doesn't have to be you, you don't
Right.
have to be there.
Right.
Okay.
It's up to you to start it, you don't have to finish it.
And once it happens, it's not for everything, like you have to keep
Right. Right. It's every time, every day anew.
But you do die.
2 nights ago.
You're birthing something to you rather than dying. You're birthing something new every day.
Okay.
And the way you see that
Okay.
person, what you believe in, even though they're not even there and they don't aware of it.
2 nights ago, one of my sons went out for a walk. So he takes these long hour-and-a-half walks. And it starts at midnight, he comes back at 1:30. So that's his new thing. Okay, very nice. Before that, I guess he argued a lot with one of the other ones. And he told him, don't come back. Like, go, don't come back, I don't want to see you. So he took it very hard, the one who went walking. He said he wanted me to disappear. He wanted me to... So I said, that's what Reb Nachman used to say to somebody when he saw him walking with his tefillin back. He said, don't come back. What do you mean, don't come back?
What was it tefillin? I didn't
If you saw somebody with a talus bag going to daven, he would tell them, don't come back.
The same.
Okay, but what he meant was that if this really works, this thing called davening, you won't come back the same person. So the you that went isn't the you that's going to come back. Okay? So I told him, you can't go through this world without learning how to reinterpret what you hear and what you see. That's what I said before. That it's not about how deep you're going to look. It's reinterpreting the whole thing. It's not like let's understand why he told that, why he said that to me, and why he feels that way about me, and if we analyze it enough, we'll come to some kind of, in the end it was good. No. You have to reinterpret the whole thing entirely. It's just something else. He said because he was angry. Who cares? He's only an emissary. Okay? Really, it's Hashem putting the words in his mouth, and he's blessing you. Where do we see this? So the amazing thing was that the day after, meaning yesterday, after this whole thing happened, the one who said, don't come back, he said, I want to learn something with you. So we were in the car. I said, okay, so read and I'll listen. So he read me the Gemara in Brachos, in Moed Katan, that talks about, Brachos, I'm not sure. I don't remember where it is. It says that Rashbi sent his son, Rabbi Elazar, to receive a blessing from these two people, who he says were men with tzura, they were wise men. And they cursed him. So he came back to Rabbi Elazar and said, you sent me to get a blessing. The only blessing I didn't receive, the only thing they did was that they cursed me. So he says, what did they say to you? So he says, one thing they said was, may your world be destroyed. Yachrav beitak. Like the Arabs say. Yachrav beitak. Like, may your home be destroyed. So Rashbi said, it's very good. Because what do they mean? They mean that there that you said that they mean that your grave where you end up in the end is called your home. When your grave is in the end is in your home. So they say Yechrav Beitcha, they mean that you should live forever. That you should never have a grave. But so that's just one example. There's 5 or 6 different things they said there. You should sow. Sorry, you should plant and not sow. You should sow and not reap. It's like very. So all the things. Where's she,
Because she didn't want me to pick her up. Because she has to
So, for example, this example, to say somebody insults us or you
Okay, so you have to reinterpret it.
So by accessing the Yechida, the higher level, we can actually reinterpret, and that brings down that
Right.
will bring down that reality.
Right. That's to have faith in a Jew. He insulted me, but I have faith in him. What do I have faith? That really he's just tapping into his higher, but he can't voice it because he doesn't have the tools for it. So I'll do it for him. So that's one possibility. Okay. So now, we've ordered these two: faith in a Jew and faith in a Hashem. Again, Hashem here is just Hashem is creator. But of course Hashem is also that thing that we call the Yechida. It's a different level of Hashem. So in the end, we have here 5 different levels of faith. Let's see how they work. So from top to bottom, it's faith in Hashem, faith in the tzaddik of the generation. This we talked about last week, now we'll put it into more context. Then faith in all of Am Yisrael, and faith in another Jew, and finally we said that as a result of this, I get faith in myself. These are all the higher level. These are all the Yechida, because in the Yechida itself, there's a Naran Chai of the Yechida. There's 5 levels of, just as the soul has 5 levels to it, each part of the soul has 5 levels to it. So in the Yechida, there's also 5 levels. And there are also the Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh of the Yechida. So from top to bottom, the Yechida of the Yechida is to have faith in Hashem, as able to create the world as something different entirely at every moment. He's able to create whatever miracle he wants. And then the Chaya of the Yechida is faith in the tzaddik of the generation. Why? Because the tzaddik of the generation is like the DNA from which everything emerges. So you can understand that he's the one who sees constantly everything coming into being. But he doesn't see it because he trained himself to see it. That's just how he is. That's his feeling. That's his
function.
That's what he came here to do. And then there's in all of Am Yisrael, that's the neshama, as we call it, nishmat Yisrael, the neshama of the Jewish people. That's like Knesset Yisrael. That's like the neshama of the Yechida. Every individual Jew is the ruach of the Yechida, and then I myself am the nefesh of the Yechida. So, but these 5 things, they all relate to this higher level of faith. Okay. So now, what does it mean to live with a feeling of having faith in the tzaddik in me? We mentioned this last week. The tzaddik in me, we said that's the tzaddik of the tzelem. And if I live with these 2 levels of faith, that's to have faith in the tzaddik in me. If I can live all the time with these 2 levels of faith, then I'm the tzaddik. My subjective reality is a reality of a tzaddik. if I have these two levels of faith all the time. Meaning, I always believe that Hashem is recreating the world at every moment, and I feel that, I have that flow through me, constantly being regenerated. And I always believe in another Jew, or I always believe in the Jewish people, or I always believe in the myself, the emunah that I have in myself, that I can also recreate myself. I can always become something new. That's what it means to be a tzaddik, to have faith in myself as a tzaddik, that I can live this way. Okay, so now I want to say something that's, we didn't see this here. I don't think we saw this. Let's read this, what we just said now. It's in line 185. Particular potency is to be had from each individual's belief in the salient point of a tzaddik that exists in him or herself. This is different from having self-confidence. This is not confidence in myself, it's faith in myself. Because my focus here is faith. It's not what I'm going to do. It's just this ability to either recreate or create a new reality all the time. Never to fall under the sun. Never to fall into just preserving what there is. And it doesn't mean that you don't work on preservation. You have to eat also. But it's never leaving it just that there's only under the sun and there's nothing above it. Because that's not my purpose. Just to keep the world going, there's another 7 billion people here who will do that very happily. That's not my purpose.
But we're not going to leave them to do that either. We're going to believe that they're also going to be recreating and.
Hopefully.
You know?
There's a guy I'm in contact with in Canada that he's a Christian, and he suffers from a lot of problems. So he has this whole theory about what's going to happen in the world. It'll be like this, like that. Very, very dismal and bleak. So as much as he has a lot of faith, he can't, no matter what I do, no matter what I try to explain to him, he's always locked into reality. He can't come out of it. And even when he has faith, his faith is still that everything will be just the same. Okay, so what's his picture of utopia? What's like
Today.
that we will see, the Jewish people will see a revenge on all our enemies. That's it for him. That's as high as he goes. So he says that'll be what does he call it? He uses something from Shakespeare. It's called your
Pity Germany.
cura your. I don't remember. It's like your cup of joy, whatever. That's from Tehillim, but it's like this. It's like that's the most that he can imagine that could be good. To come and say, I told him that for me that's not revenge. For me, revenge. For me, revenge means that all the descendants of those who fought against us, who killed us, who murdered us, they all come to see that the Jewish people are the priestly nation, and that they receive the Torah. That for me is a revenge. I don't want to see humanity suffering. I have no interest in that. I don't want to see the world destroyed. I love the world, but so of course I believe that they can also attain something from this, and that's what I hope for. So that's because I believe that it can change. If you don't believe that things can change, if you don't believe in conversion, because that's what conversion is. Conversion is to take somebody who didn't have a yechida and give them a yechida. So now suddenly you'll have a yechida.
But every time that we Jew can change reality, so it's becoming almost like a sham.
Okay.
Like recreate.
That's why we say it's the same thing.
And Adam in the Gan Eden couldn't do that.
No,
he got stuck.
I got stuck because he
Sidetracked.
because
Yeah.
He got stuck in the chaya. He wasn't able to. Like that, he saw that his wife was Em Kol Chai. That's all. If you would have said, she's the only one, he could name things, but he couldn't see beyond the name. He couldn't see beyond the name. So this was the next statement that I wanted to make. That really why does Hashem even need all this? You can ask it. If Hashem can do this all by himself, he recreated anew every time. So what's my role in all of this? So you just said it's the same thing. And you said, if I do it, it's like Hashem doing it. But it's not exactly the same, because Hashem could have done it yesterday. He doesn't have to wait for me to do it today. So the understanding that the Baal Shem Tov has is that there are two players here. Hashem is the objective reality, and we're the subjective reality. How do you call the subjective reality in Chazal? Shechina. One of the Baal Shem Tov's biggest chidushim is to say that subjectivity is Shechina. You wonder where the Shechina is today. So where is the Shechina?
With us.
It's stuck in me. How is it stuck in me? In my subjective take on the world. And where is it today? It's like in the 3 weeks. This is the main thing I have to focus on. That the Shechina in me, Hashem Elochem, is in Golus. Because it's in me. I'm holding it in Golus. I'm holding it in exile. Why? Because what am I thinking about all day long? At most, nonsense. At best, it's nonsense. At worst, it's what we call machshavot zarot. Terrible things that I think about all day long, and not to mention that I even do them. So Hashem gave me the Shechina, and look what I'm doing with it. So he says that's the real pain. So when a person has pain or has what does he need to look at? Says the Baal Shem, to look at the. Don't see it as your pain. See it that the subjective pain is actually the pain of the Shechina. And for the picture to be complete, there has to be an objective take on it and a subjective take on it. So the objective take, Hashem's take on things, the objective way that he looks at everything, is something entirely different from all of this. This is like, these are all subjective pictures of reality.
So what's his objective?
That's beyond everything that we've talked. We can't even talk about what that really is. We get hints of it, but we can't really take part in that. All of this is our subjective work.
We don't know his objective.
No, because you can never. How can you know outside of yourself? As high up as I'll go, it's still subjective. So this needs more work. Okay, so now, what was the main thing that we learned? We learned that if you attain this level, this higher level of emunah, what you get from it, to have faith in myself, is to have faith in I can be atzmi also. How do you say self in Hebrew? Atzmi. So to be atzmi, what we talk about in Chassidus, of being an atzmi, means that I'm not dependent on anything else. That was the second thing that we talked about last week. That to be independent, to not have dependency on other things, is what it means to be, or to have faith in myself. It's not confidence, it's not self-confidence, not that I can do everything myself. It's just to believe that I can be in a state where I don't need anyone else.
And you need that to die, because you
So,
die yourself.
maybe.
So,
I don't need anything else to define it.
Right.
That means that I need
Right.
I'm totally into my essence, and that's all.
Okay, exactly.
He was the one who was everywhere.
Sorry?
The whole world stand on one
Can, and he's on it. Exactly.
Yeah, everywhere.
Right. That's to be an ivri, to be an atzmi.
Is it okay to need legitimacy from God, whatever that even means?
We're supposed to.
There you don't even need legitimacy. It is.
We say you don't need legitimacy for anyone but God. So
It is faith in myself and faith in Hashem. It's like, again, the Yechida and Nefesh of the Yechida. They're the same quality. So obviously I'm not saying that I'm Hashem, because we said Hashem is the objectivity, the entire objectivity, outside of everything. Here it's all subjective pictures. So still, there is a difference between faith in Hashem and faith in myself, but the faith here is such that I don't need legitimacy.
except from God. Or not even.
It is. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing.
So what does that look like? I'm not understanding
That
what does that look like? I don't even know what it's
we said that in faith there's no yet feeling. It's not like confidence. Confidence is I can bring all this into reality. I can bring it into a vessel. So in the state of faith, there's like a feeling that nothing also needs to really be done. I'm not even dependent on actually fulfilling this. In faith, faith, the first level of faith was just everything's good. Certainly there's no need to do anything.
Thing I don't need to manifest.
Even if it's not manifest, I've already reached it. I'm fine. Why? Because I know what's right and what's wrong. I know what needs to be. But whether I do it or don't do it, it doesn't matter. I'm not dependent. It's a state of pure consciousness, and it's not yet acting. No, it's fine. It's not saying it's fine as it is, because I want a new reality. But this new reality, I don't have to actually fulfill it. That's what you said before about, somebody mentioned about finishing the mitzvah. It's enough that I see the mitzvah, whether I'll be the one who does it or not, I don't need that.
As long as it's done.
As long as I've seen it, that's enough. So that's the first level of feeling independent and self-reliant. Okay, I think we stop here. 'Cause I think I have to go.
I associate self-reliance
With doing.
and independence with manifesting.
With doing, right. That, I was thinking, as I said, self-reliance, the self-reliance sounds too much like doing something. Okay. Here we mean that even independent of reality. And the self is so high that it's even independent of reality.
But isn't it more like because ask me because I'm connected to the Atsu? Because it's not me.
So that's not the same thing. Atzmi and Atzmut are not the same thing.
It's from essence.
Settle. The
That's when
Atzmus is what we said the objectivity.
But maybe that's why on the non-self I'm connected to that too. I don't. It's not that just me. It's the fact that.
So maybe it's closer. It's closer, but it's not Atzmut Mamash. Atzmut Mamash would be to be objective. And I'm not
What gives me the power to be Atzmi is that I identify with Atzmut or not identify. I connect it because
Okay, settle. I understand.
That's
Ken, but when you say identify, it's that I become one with it. Yeah, that's what I believe in. So, like Hashem doesn't need anything. He's even willing to, again, the Hashem that we're talking about here is even willing to change the world and not be worshipped today. Because he told us, don't worship me today the way you worshiped me yesterday.
That's you ben Hashem.
Okay. Yeah. And it turns out that that's the only way to get us to do something new.
The more he disappears, the more
The more we want to create something.